Greetings to one and all. Allow me now to share with you my lecture. The title is Power, Heritage, and the Deployment of Culture. In this lecture, I put forward the idea that power is always present in the recognition, naming, and transformation of cultural properties that make up a nation's cultural heritage. And for each process, we see a space of contestation, negotiation, and mediation. And in these spaces, apart from the state, like the Philippine state or the Indonesian state, social forces such as the elite classes, religious organizations, social movements, and other actors all behave and try to influence decision making in all of these phases of the process of creating cultural heritage. I borrow from Migdal's state society relationship. And Migdal basically says that uh, in order to transform society, the state must be the most powerful force in society. It should not be below other forces like elite classes or religious organizations. The state must be above all so that it will be able to define cultural heritage. It must be able to make decisions. So basically, the state must be able to penetrate society, um, extract resources such as military conscription and taxes, and then regulate social relations and then create the environment that it deems proper for itself. Now, these are the different areas where contestations can happen: policy implementation, allocation of resources, creation of legitimacy, resistance, the push and pull between state and social forces, cooperation and collaboration where interests are the same or similar, as well as the creation of informal rules and norms. The first case that I want to present is the Golden Tara. This is the most impressive golden statue, impressive artifact ever unearthed in the Philippines. Unfortunately, this statue is not in the Philippines, and therefore not many Filipinos know about this statue. Only the academics have seen it, those who have gone to Chicago. And therefore, we see here the push and pull between the colonial government, in this case, the US government, and the colony, the Philippines. And since the Philippines did not have resources at the time, we see that this most very impressive piece of heritage is not in the Philippines, but in a museum elsewhere. The next case that I want to present are three dances: the Pansak of the Yakan people, the Igal of the Samabajao people, and the Pangalay of the Tausug. So these are three dances from three different ethnic groups. The issue here is that the cultural center of the Philippines, through its encyclopedia, presents these three dances as one and the same, although they come from three different groups. They're all treated as one and the same. This is despite the fact that the movement is different, the costumes are different, the music is different, and of course, the native masters and the practitioners all say that they are different. But unfortunately, the opinion of a Manila-based scholar is given favor. So what happens here is that the state only recognizes one scholar instead of having a more open discourse on what constitutes cultural heritage. So for now, this will be treated as one and the same. But then the people in the field, in the grassroots, would disagree. The next case is an architectural um, wonder, and it's called the Manila High Alai Building. It is done in the beautiful style of streamlined modern, and it was built sometime in the early American period. Unfortunately, the building was demolished in 2005, and this was demolished through the decision of then Mayor Lito Atienza. Um, and many cultural workers were actually opposed to the demolition, but the local government had all the rights to have it demolished, and there were no laws yet to protect cultural heritage. Because of this sad event, eventually the Philippines passed a cultural heritage law, which now protects many of these beautiful architectural wonders and other sites that can be considered as Philippine patrimony or Philippine cultural heritage. So out of a sad experience, we learn from it, and now we have a law that protects all other uh, pieces of sites and monuments in the Philippines. The next example is the Rizal Monument and the Torre de Manila. Torre de Manila is that tall condominium that we see here in the right-hand picture. And it was constructed uh, ruining the view of the Rizal Monument. So this is the monument to our national hero. And before the construction, we have very beautiful landscape, no buildings at the back. But since its construction, we now have a very uneven landscape, and many people are not happy with what had happened. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court had to rule in favor of the construction company because of the idea of property rights. And there were no laws again to protect the idea of view or vista as commons or as heritage. So this is again another vacuum and another example of state weakness in the Philippines. The next example is the Philippine eagle. And this is quite interesting because we have here a living organism. And I would say that a living organism, like a plant, a flower, or in this case, a bird, can be considered a cultural heritage. And this is what happened here. It was originally called the monkey-eating eagle. And sometime in 1977, uh, Peace Corps volunteer Robert Kennedy lobbied to have the name changed to Philippine eagle. And this was done by Ferdinand Marcos, the president at that time, through a proclamation. Eventually, in 1995, the Philippine eagle was named the national bird. Although it is the national bird, and although it's a very impressive eagle and truly a wonder to behold, the Philippines is unable to use it unlike, for example, the case of the giant panda of China. China uses the panda in its diplomacy. And if you have good relations with China, China might lend you a panda or two. Yeah, and all pandas are owned by China, even if it is born elsewhere. So China insists on the ownership of this iconic creature called the panda. In the case of the Philippines, we are not even able to project the Philippine eagle. You know, it is a most beautiful bird, very impressive, but we have not been able to use it in our tourism, not as well, and in our cultural diplomacy. The next example is that of the Philippine adobo. Sometime in 2021, the Department of Trade and Industry established a committee to standardize the Philippine adobo. And this is the many people call this the national dish, although there's no law that calls it the national dish. We have here in the community famous chefs like Chef Glenda Barreto, Chef Mirna Sigismundo, Chef Raul Robert Goko, taking part in this committee. But when it was announced to the public, the netizens and many other people started to oppose it, saying that adobo is about diversity. Different regions would have different ways of cooking it, and different families would even take pride of their uniqueness of their recipe, and therefore to standardize it goes against the principle of Philippine culture as diversity, Philippine heritage as diverse, and not hegemonic or pinned onto one template. So this is clearly a misreading of the Philippine state and able to read or preempt public opinion. And again, that is a sign of weakness. For the last two slides, these are the summary of the different factors that lead to success or failure of the state in sustaining or protecting cultural heritage. And we have here the nature of the cultural property, power configuration, who are the people interested in it, and who are engaged in the process of conflict or collaboration, the range of actors, how big is the size of interested individuals or organizations, the scope and the effect of the decision, whether the decision will affect only one locality or the whole nation, or even international relations in the case of cultural politics. We also have the factor of affective death, or how does it affect national memory? And it can be very low, it can be medium or high. And of course, the valuation effect. How valuable is this property to the people? Or is there a sense that it is property? Or is there a sense that it is considered a national heritage, national cultural heritage? So these are the different factors that make or break cultural property or cultural heritage in any state or society. The next slide simply applies the same factors to the last three cases that I presented. I do hope that we learned quite a few things from my presentation of six cases of iconic cases of cultural heritage in the Philippines. And with that, I end my presentation. Terima kasih banyak. Maraming salamat po. And thank you very much.